It is 2019. Magic the Gathering prints a broken, format warping card that's one green, one blue, and one other. It will be banned. It is 2020. Magic the Gathering prints a broken, format warping card that's one green, one blue, and one other. It will be banned. It is 2024. Magic the Gathering prints a broken, format warping card that's one green, one blue, and one other. It will be banned.
MH3 had a card banned before the set was even officially released. Do we have two early contenders to join it? Mr. Bevers, Ryan, Chris, Paul, Brian, Nikki, Zach, Matt, Harold, Alex, Diego, Raphael. Y'all, 4-year supporters of the Patreon. Y'all are insane. Thank you so much. Jake and Joel Magic is brought to you by Card Conduit, the best place to sell your cards on the internet. Drip Shop, our live store where you can find us streaming with cool giveaways and stuff to buy. TCG Player, the best place to buy your cards on the internet. Dragon Shield, the best sleeves for your cards. MTG Stocks, the best place to track their prices over time. And Moxfield, the best place to put your deck lists. And we're powered by our Patreon. Go get involved with our community on a deeper level and get rewarded for doing so. Jake and I have tried to put cool things at every single tier. Free custom JAJAM Dragon Shield sleeves, an extra video every week that's exclusive to the Patreon, and even things like play mats and one-on-one meetings with us. If you want to support us directly, Patreon is the place to do it. Huge thanks to our patrons, and we'll see you at Playday on Friday. Modern Horizons 3 has just hit, and we are already mired down in ban discussions. Right before the set was released, we had an article from Gavin explaining why they were going to be banning a common right out of the gate. Its similarity to other cards that were banned in that format needed to be addressed apparently right from the starting line, and so they went ahead and chose to ban that card in Pauper. But since then, and in the very early days of this set releasing, the ban discussion has moved to two different cards: a Simic Value Engine rare and a common that is just the most overpowered stuff we've ever seen. Nadu Winged Wisdom is a blue, a green, and one other for a 3/4 bird wizard with flying. It says creatures you control have, whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. This ability triggers only twice each turn. Right off the rip, it's very interesting to me that the text of this card says the ability triggers only twice each turn. So they knew that this was going to be busted. It needed to be limited somehow. Did they just forget that other Magic cards exist? The first card that everybody turned to was an equipment with a 0 equip cost, Shuko, meaning that you can just retarget your creatures over and over again and pass the Shuko around as much as you want with no other resources necessary. It's got the whole format right now feeling like that Lonely Island sketch.
Everyone was wearing fingerless gloves.
Now you may look at Shuko and go, that card sucks. They're gonna run 4 Nadu and 4 Shuko. That's great. If they just brick and draw a lot of Shuko, their deck is not gonna run. That card is awful other than use in the Nadu combo. Turns out Shuko is searchable by Urza's Saga. Run 4 Urza's Saga, and you only pretty much have to run 1 copy of Shuko. Okay, well, surely other format staples are gonna keep this in check, and it was balanced. I mean, Orcish Bowmasters exist. It's been dominating since it was printed. We're drawing cards with Nadu. Surely Orcish Bowmasters is gonna ace the opponent playing Nadu. Oh, Nadu. Nadu doesn't actually draw the cards. It says reveal it. If it's a land, put it on the battlefield. If it's not, put it in your hand. It doesn't even say draw a card on it. Okay, well, at least we're not getting to use the resources immediately. Surely this card has the lands come into the battlefield tapped. Oh, nah, dude. The lands enter the battlefield untapped. Okay, well, at the very least, you'll run out of targets eventually. You don't have infinite creatures on the battlefield. You can only target Nadu and another creature on the battlefield twice by swapping Shuko back and forth, drawing multiple cards and putting multiple lands onto the battlefield potentially, but surely it could stop there. Oh, nah, duh. Get you a creature that's got landfall, create a creature on it, and when the land enters the battlefield, you'll have another creature to equip with the Shuko. And we already had one of those, but you know what, Modern Horizons 3, why not print another one? One less mana this time? Yeah, that sounds great. All joking aside, it's kind of crazy to me that a card like this exists, made it through all of the testing that would be necessary, but I think it may highlight an issue, which is those on top are just pushing Wizards to make more and more and more and more. We got to have more. We got to do more with less and less and less. We got to fire people. We got to cut back. Where can we cut back? By the way, make more. That's just how corporate America's acting. And so with that trend being sort of across every corporation, I feel like nowadays, you've got people being pushed to do more with less. And so it makes sense why through testing and cards passing around through these major teams, big teams, I'm assuming, that are making these individual sets, if a card just sort of gets adjusted and adjusted and adjusted throughout play, whether it's being powered down or powered up, you're going to get to a potential zone toward the end of the development of a set where it needs to be locked, where playthroughs with certain iterations of cards, play testing with certain iterations of cards, may not have gotten a ton of games in. You know, there's a huge difference between like 5 or 10 games where you're using a card the way it's printed on the card and not trying to absolutely break it open with a zero cost equipment to equip or some creator of token creatures to just keep the party train rolling Simic style. But if you don't get many iterations testing past how it's designed out of the gate, you're going to get situations like with Oko Thief of Crowns, where they just came out and said when they were having to ban that in every single format that it was legal pretty much, they were having to say, well, we honestly didn't get a lot of practice or didn't think to elk our opponent's stuff.
What happened with Oko? What are your thoughts on Oko?
So Oko had a goal to be a strong card in Standard, but we did underestimate how strong the +1 is on as a defensive ability to like remove other creatures and artifacts. So Oko is stronger than we thought it would be, and we are monitoring the format.
We were only elking our own food tokens and attacking with 3/3s. We weren't turning their enormous mana investments into 3/3s with no other text. We didn't really think that that was going to be a problem with this card. Yeah, now we got Nadu going nutso. Are we going to ban Nadu or are we going to ban Shuko? I'm pretty sure that's the way that these kind of bans go in the past, right? Is Nadu still going to be insane if we ban around it? Do we need to ban the bird specifically? Has it been long enough to talk about bans at all? That's something I always come back to when these discussions happen is, why are we not giving it a little more time? I know reactiveness, it's the internet, that's what we do. I mean, look at the title and thumbnail of this video. I joked about it at the beginning. Thanks for the Twitter person who made the meme that I based that opening bit on. Hugely stolen valor on that meme, but I thought it was funny. You've got cards like Oko, you've got cards like Uro, that we have seen similar stuff like this before, and those didn't have a way to go just over the top, nearly infinite, we'll say, or infinite if you've got the right pieces all set up on the battlefield. And it's not like with Brawl on Arena, where me and the dozens of us that play Arena Brawl, if we see Nadu sit down across the table from us, we just reach up and press that little gear and press concede and move on with our day. That's it. I saw a tweet that was talking about having gone 23-2 with a new Nadu deck. And granted, again, it's early in this version of the meta. Answers haven't been found. We haven't even seen how well and consistently it plays. What's the best shell for it? And so you're going to have overperformers like this. I just think it's interesting to look at one of the best early performing decks with Nadu in it. 23-2. This one's got Summoner's Pact, 4 Shuko, also 4 Urza's Saga, and 4 Nadu. This is like an all-in build of it. But you've got one single copy of Thassa's Oracle, 2 Nantukos to keep the combo just a rolling, and then you got 1 Rings and Court of Callings to go find your Nadu. I mean, it's like guaranteed this sort of all-in Nadu approach. And Thassa's Oracle is your win con. That's what we're living in right here. Just draw your whole deck. That's this type of combo, at least the early builds. I also think it's worth talking about the bird in Commander. Obviously, Modern is being taken by storm with it right now, and it's just dominating a lot of early meta takes. But Nadu is also kind of a menace in Commander, and I'm interested to see where it goes from here. The committee typically likes commander playgroups to take care of this kind of thing on its own. Voja didn't get a ban, and so when you look at a card like Nadu, I think they just expect somebody to come to the table with Nadu the first time and then get like social pressured out of ever playing it again, which I have my own personal feelings about that approach from the commander committee, and just sort of wish they would ban things sometimes. But let's look at an early exploration of the commander. One of our buddies, Dom, built Nadu right out of the gate, and these were his early thoughts. Shuko, Umbral Mantle, and Greaves obviously work great with the ability as well. In Commander, Shuko's got that 0 equip cost, and you've got some other things similar there. And then you can make those more consistent with cards like Urza Saga, like we talked about, but Trinket, Tribute Mage, also a way to go. With cards like Sea King's Blessing, Sylvan Paradise, or Sway of Illusion, you're triggering the ability off every dork you've played and your commander. You can blink the commander, by the way, and reset everything. With a brand new Nadu, you've got a brand new version of all of the ability triggers only twice each turn. So all you got to do is blink Nadu mid combo off, and you've got an entirely fresh board to do this on. You can pull something off similar with cards like Flesh Duplicate or Phyrexian Metamorph, resetting all activations on your creatures by copying your commander, then sacrificing the OG. The new card Shifting Woodland is going to add more roadblocks to stopping Nadu by allowing copies of your 0 equipment from the graveyard, and you can grab it with crop rotation. On top of it all, you can use another broken card like Field of the Dead as a win con all of its own. You are absolutely dumping lands onto the battlefield, and it's sort of a nearly infinite non-scoot option with Nadu to make your combo go wider and allow you to activate it over and over again with cards like your Shuko or your Greaves. Basically, he just said he would go nuts on like turn 3, turn 4, and only end the turn when he's ready to protect his board with something like Fierce Guardianship or some Pact or Flare. And then you've just got an insane amount of mana because it's Simic. You go into something like Finale of Devastation and you win the game that way. He ended the email by saying that he tried to dumb down the deck and make it just ramp 2 big stuff. Like pretty straightforward Simic plan. Ramp 2 big dumb stuff so it plays a little bit more fair and players can maybe get in there and answer some stuff and stand a chance against it. But with the power level of Nadu, Dom said it still just simply blew everyone out. Turn 3, turn 4, rampaging Baloths and just running away with it mana-wise and card value-wise while everybody watches is just not the most fun way to play Commander. It's not supposed to be solitaire. So we've got Nadu stomping all over multiple constructed formats and singleton fun formats potentially, but we've got Limited being affected by a common in the set that is just absolutely warping things. Writhing Chrysalis is a 1 green, 1 red, 2 other, 2/3 Eldrazi drone with Devoid, meaning it's colorless. When you cast the spell, you create 2 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature tokens with Sack It to make a mana. It's got Reach hidden there in the text box. And it says whenever you sacrifice another Eldrazi, put a +1/+1 counter on Writhing Chrysalis. You've got a creature here that goes wide, it goes tall, and it has Reach. That is just so much on a creature that we can pull at a common rarity. One of my favorite Twitter follows that covers a lot of MTG data talked about the win rate of Writhing Chrysalis being unprecedented. Look at this chart. These are the top 10 commons in the recent years and their win rates on day 3 of the format. So it's accounting for the fact that the format is very new. We're talking about this just a few days in to the set being released. But when you've got a card performing 3 percentage points higher as a win rate than cards like Organ Hoarder, Inspiring Overseer, Claim the Precious, you have got a potential issue on your hands. The secret Reach, I think, is going to catch people off guard for the first 2 weeks of this format too, so just be aware that you're reading your opponent's cards pretty specifically. Reach gets hidden nowadays. I kind of am very thankful for the arena indicator. It's very much like, this creature has Reach, make sure you don't attack, right there, as clearly as they can possibly make it, without big text just being right over the entire game. It's like, yo dog, you can't fly over this one. I think Writhing Chrysalis is being blown more out of proportion right now because you've got fewer people who are like drafting into the play experience, if that makes sense. I'll say it like this. Nadu with Commander, you've got a social contract, and so you can go, all right, you can play your Nadu deck once, but I promise if I just absolutely hate it and everybody at the table's experience is ruined, we're not going to let you play it anymore. So you can work it out like that. With Modern, you've got sort of an understanding you're going to sit across the table from some crazy powerful stuff. I'm sure that y'all have been playing against Scam long enough now where you're just like, I don't know, another day, another broken Simic shit I got to deal with. So I feel like it's fine there too. But with Writhing Chrysalis, you've got limited happening a lot over the past like 2 days, 3 days since the set has been released, and even more since it's been on Arena a little bit longer. You got a lot of Arena players running into a more powerful common than they've ever run into, and they're not prepared for it. And so you've got a lot more complaints. You've got a lot more unprepared people that are running into this common, which I think is causing it to be a little louder than it will be over the next week or two when we just realize that, you know, there's ways to work around it and we can figure it out. But that also can be completely left turned by the fact that this just might be a busted common in this limited environment. Is Wizards going to have any response to it completely warping the draft experience? If that happens, we'll see. I think that having a card banned just in limited is way unlikely, like 99.999% chance that's not going to happen. But we'll see. Be aware Writhing Chrysalis exists. Right now with Modern Horizons 3, I have two competing thoughts. This is maybe my favorite set that has ever come out. It is just full to the brim with awesome stuff to pull, awesome stuff to play with, format redefiners, good reprints, just kind of across the board. Commander Legends was my prior favorite set of all time, and this one's giving it a run for its money. It's definitely in top 3. However, I also am seeing the power creep flowing. The creep must flow. Where does it end? That is the other competing thought with, oh my God, I love this, is where does it end? The cards have to be sweet and format redefining and broken to sell more sets. It's the overtime problem of Magic the Gathering, right? The power creep must creep on so that you've got sets that need to be purchased by your player base. So when you see sets like Final Fantasy and Marvel on the horizons, any other Horizon set that we've got in the future, you know that those cards, they're going to be pushed. We're going to have 1 or 2 cards in there that break out and bust everything wide open. And I think that's more by design than a flaw. However, the specific wording of some of these cards could have been addressed. It could have been caught in what is probably an overworked R&D department over there at Wizards. The pressure that they are constantly feeling, it feels like, to get more and more out is causing there to be some sort of breakdown, and I'm not blaming it on them. I really think that's what is happening is how I outlined it earlier, where a card is just passing around such a large team to so many different eyes, getting a tweak here, getting a tweak there, and they're only concentrated on playing the card the way it's written, maybe not necessarily bending it over backwards and breaking it. And so by the time we get to it's got to ship, you run into cards like Writhing Chrysalis. The designer talked about how this card was mono green, but then got shifted into red green because red needed a little bit more of like reach protection. Now we're here. This was a card that was just like had some stuff added onto it to fill specific roles, but there wasn't enough time to sort of go back to the drawing board and say, is this where we actually want it now? Or is this going to warp the entire format? And I know we are early in this. This is all reactive. We need to wait and see what's going on. That's the opinion I personally hold. I mean, as I'm putting this video together today, I'm seeing tweets about 4 of Sorin starting to break out. 4X of the new Sorin Planeswalker, flip Planeswalker from the set, starting to pop up in a couple of different deck types as the shell is trying to discover itself, and taking down multiple trophies, absolutely being a house of a card. The format is still finding itself. We maybe need a little bit of patience. All of the names you're seeing here are our Patreon supporters at our $10 tier or higher. All of these people enjoy a free exclusive video on Patreon every single week that we do not post to the YouTube, and they also all get a free pack of Dragon Shields with our custom JAJAM card art on the sleeve. Sleeve art? Card art? card back. It's JAJAM art on a sleeve. They are dragon shields. You get them for free. You just have to pay your own shipping. You get it automatically when you sign up at this tier. Go check out our Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you all, our $10 patrons. We love you, love you, love you. We'll catch you later.